Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Robbat. I'm from Boston, Mass, living in Treviso in Italy. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Younifeed. Younifeed is a software solution, and our goal is to bring humanity back to commerce. So with our product in one click, a small retailer can sell, promote, and manage. And in one click, their customers can browse, buy, and choose the delivery option of their choice. And so we are right now working with small retailers, launching our product with small retailers in Italy. And that's our little elevator pitch for you.
I love it, Sarah. Hi. Hello, hello, hello. You know, I mean, you're in one of my favorite places that I've never been to. I have a bucket list of, I shouldn't even say bucket list because my bucket list is so large, but Italy, Greece, Hawaii are my dream places. I always said that when I fall in love, I want to go to these three places.
I thought you'd been to Italy. I remembered you.
I've never been. Yeah, so those are the three, like my three places. And my mom's like, she goes, you know what, maybe you should just go. I'm like, I'm going to go. But again, it's like I've traveled around the world and those are my three places. So let it be known.
And I love your list of locations include so many more exotic places other than Italy. Italy is usually people's first, foreign destination. It's going to be your
I know, it literally is just like the randomest thing. Because I travel around the world. I've been to the most exotic. I go to the most exotic places. I've lived in other locations. I've lived in Australia. I've lived in Ireland. And yet the three places where are pretty easy for most people to go to, I'm like, nope, I'm going to wait. I'm just going to wait for that. But
yeah, well, I think it's such a beautiful country and there's so much to see. Maybe that's why you're waiting, because you need a nice chunk of time.
Yeah. Yes, you are right. And when I get there, you're going to give me my tour. But before we do that, Sarah, hi, how are you? And welcome to the wonderful world of talking about your business.
Yes.
Before we talk about your business, I want to know who you are. I want other people to understand who's Sarah, where did Sarah come from, and also how did Sarah end up in Italy?
Yeah. Honestly, ever since I think, as we all have realized as we get older, there's always been the essence of who we are since the day we were born. So I've always wanted and been interested in traveling. I've always loved the idea of learning foreign languages, other languages other than my mother tongue, which is English. And I've always been very passionate about learning about local culture and what someone else's culture can teach me. Always. So I think those have been kind of guiding forces in my life. And I've always wanted to give back to the world in some way. And that's definitely the essence of who I am, wanting to give back, getting to know the local, wherever that is. And so I worked in international development after university. But during university, I studied abroad in Mali in West Africa, which we had talked about. And I was a women's studies major. And while I was in Mali, I got to do my thesis on a small childcare business run by women in Bamako. So really, ever since, I can remember, I've always sought out local businesses, wanted to learn about how other people do things that maybe, we don't know how to do yet, or, and by we, I mean in the United States, learning about, especially childcare. And then after university, I worked in international development. I spent a lot of time in West Africa. And while I was there, I learned about local textiles and then sought out a job with a a well-known textile designer and manufacturer in Senegal. And so from there, I decided that I needed some more formal training. So I went back and got a master's in business, the business of fashion and design in Milan. And yeah, and I think since I love that cross section, I've always been interested in that cross section between where business meets local. Retail was a natural place for me to gravitate because it's exactly where, you know, commerce meets the end consumer. And so I pursued a career in retail. I worked with Louis Vuitton. And then after Louis Vuitton, I think small business has always been in my blood, and I went right back working with small retailers and working to create omni-channel experiences for them. And so here I am. I don't know if that answers your question about who I am.
It
a
does.
little bit
Well, it does, and I have to ask a little bit more before we go into your business.
Yeah.
You received all this education hands-on, and in the fashion industry, where in the United States, I mean, look, mind you, the fashion industry is like constantly, it's evolving, but also it's evolving in so many different ways, but it is also rewinding and tapping into the past to create the newest thing. So it's this constant, like, I'm going to go forward 2, I'm going to go backward 10 kind of industry. You have entrepreneurial, you're an entrepreneur by design. Your family's in entrepreneurship. Definitely would like to hear a little bit more about that. But also, why didn't you want to stay, like, you're in Italy, you've been to all these different countries. Why did you not want to grow something? Not even like just something here in the States where you already have a very large following of individuals that would support you. So what was it that made you and decided, because I mean, you love traveling, but what was it that made you decide that I want to branch out and stay overseas a lot more?
I think honestly, I just feel more inspired. I think I never found my place in the United States where I felt inspired, where kind of the people I met on the street, I guess I just, my everyday encounters or even just my surroundings inspired me as much as I experienced in other places. So it's a kind of harsh response, but it's the truth. I just never quite felt, Boston's never really felt like my place. I did love living in Washington, D.C., but in terms of entrepreneurship, and small business, it's not, really vital community. And yeah, there is something about living abroad, speaking another language. Your mind is just, you're so challenged when you're working and speaking in another language. And I think constantly needing to keep your mind open because of just the fact that you might not understand cultural nuances. It forces you to really, I think, stay on your toes and I find myself to be more prolific when I'm living abroad.
I love that you say that. I do. I love that you say that because I'm a marketing expert as people like to say the word. And I love working with international. I mean, I'm first generation born here. My thought process, there are many times that I think in my native tongue versus English, and there are times that I think in English versus my native tongue. I find it very challenging to work with international companies because I believe in what they're doing, as in they're in the industry. I believe in what I'm doing. If I claim to know and be an expert at what I'm doing, I should be able to do it. And just like you said, to understand the nuances, to understand the culture, to understand what their pain points are, not just the business part of it, but the cultural part of it. And if I know what I believe and do, I should be able to do it for them. And so I love the fact that you've taken everything that you've learned throughout your existence and you challenge yourself. to go in a location where it is true, where you're hearing the words, and I'm like, wait, am I hearing it, translating it, getting it, and now can I say it back to them in a way that I can be helpful to them?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm working with a small business here, and I asked to have access to a very, very small knitwear workshop, physical access. And I wanted to go there, visit, take some pictures. And the response came back to me in dialect of like, absolutely not. That's so, that's totally, just even asking that is completely, I guess, crossing some line. But it's great. I love that. And I love being pushed like that every day. It's, honestly, I seek it out, and I always have. And I guess that is my comfort zone, is not feeling perfectly comfortable.
which is a thing that I believe that everyone should really get into, like putting yourself in a place where you're not comfortable. So,
and I think that's what entrepreneurs, that's their comfort zone. We know we have so much to learn, and we won't be satisfied unless we're constantly in the process of expanding ourselves. And once you do that, of course, it's just one thing leads to the next, so you're never static. And I think for an entrepreneur, the idea of being people ask me all the time, like, are you settled? Or that if you've known me at all, that word is just, it's not in my vocabulary, and that I don't even know what that would mean. Just like Michelle Obama's becoming, right? It's the, yeah.
I do love that word of not being settled. I haven't heard it. I mean, like, people don't say, they haven't used it towards me, because I'm a constantly go, 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 go. But I do love the fact of not being settled. So walk me through what part of your life that became unsettled, that you decided to create this company, and what do you guys do exactly?
Yeah. So I joined this company as a co-founder during lockdown in Italy. What happened was, Italy, there was a hackathon launched, Hack the Crisis Italy. I joined as a group leader, bringing this idea. I was calling it Window Shop at the time, and it was a marketplace concept for small businesses, products geolocated. So once the quarantine lifted, lockdown was lifted, people would be able to the brick and mortar location commerce option that of course allowed them to stay in touch with their clients during lockdown.
Sarah, I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that one more time, just because your computer froze? So I just want you to repeat that one more time.
So which part? Where did I?
Okay, so you during COVID, you created this company, and it was like a marketplace.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So it was the idea of the company was just to create a marketplace, geolocated products, so that it would naturally shift from lockdown mode, where e-commerce was your primary mode to stay in touch with your favorite retailers, to then post-lockdown, where we would strengthen again the relationship between clients and their local retailers. So I was working on this business. We continued after the hackathon, this little group that we created, and while I was doing market research, and looking for competitors, I came across an existing company called Younifeed. I scheduled a demo. I asked way too many questions, and the founder said, "Wow, you seem to know or have given this a lot of thought. Let's talk again." And so we scheduled a few more phone calls, and then I came on to join the team shortly after that. And we had the same vision. He had been working on the technology for 3 years at that point. And of course, the technology, when you're building a retail solution, software is extremely, it's expensive, it's very time consuming, and it takes a long time. And a lot of resources. So to meet someone who had the same passion for local retail it was, of course, just such a gift. And the fact that we had all at that point become really comfortable meeting people over Zoom or Google Hangouts, we built a strong working relationship over the computer. And he brought me on as a COO, and then later asked if I would take the CEO role, so he could go back to the CTO role. And here we are. We've really been working on completing our MVP, which we just did. And so we're rolling it out to our, we've been testing it with clients, throughout it, of course, but we're rolling out our MVP over the next few weeks.
So walk me through, so I'm a customer, and what is the ideal customer? And when you get in, so they're approached by you, they say, we definitely want to join on. What is the process of how a customer uses you, depending on who this customer is?
So our ideal customer would be a local retailer with anywhere from 1 to 30 stores, but someone really serving a local market. Our product, it's an IoT technology. We start as an inventory management software. So everything is, I'm thinking in Italian, it starts with the inventory management. So our goal is to save the time of the retailers in the back end. So in one click, we have a smart inventory management barcode reader. So within one click, the idea is that the technology can read your product, find your product, find a picture of the product, suggested market price. And so within minutes, you have, your 3,000 SKUs uploaded. From there, in one click, you can send your inventory across your selling channels. And so we're integrated through APIs with, various third-party marketplaces. But what distinguishes us is that you can also have your own unique customer-facing selling page. So there's no need to have and invest in your own website. And with your unique selling page, it works exactly as a website would, but we also offer live streaming. So the live streaming technology, which in real time can close a sale. And we geolocate products. So we're sending your customers both in store and of course offering an e-commerce experience as well. And in January, we're launching our own marketplace. So with its app. So it's a kind of full circle. And then of course we also have our POS in store. So it's a really 360-degree retail management software.
Is this needed? I mean, was this created by him, and your co-founder's name is
Paolo.
So when Paolo decided this product was needed, and then you came on and you saw even more of a need of it. Is it an Italy problem? Is it a Europe problem? Is it a global problem?
No, I think what's great about launching in Italy is we do have incredibly rich town centers and city centers with a lot of local retailers. So it's a great place to launch this kind of product. Unfortunately, I used to live in Concord, Massachusetts. Unfortunately, I've heard that most of our stores have closed, most of the stores in Concord, Massachusetts. I mean, stores that have been there for 50 years, 100 years.
Not even in Concord. I mean, I mean, I'm in Marblehead. It's heartbreaking because a lot of them, a lot of stores couldn't pivot fast enough. And once they realized it was already down the line, and it was like the rabbit hole got worse. So that's where they are in that situation.
And a lot of people ask us, when we're talking to investors, and what about Shopify? Shopify absolutely is a partner for us. We can integrate Shopify. We're a Shopify partner. But if you have your own independent website, you have to drive traffic to that website anyway. The idea is simplifying, and who's going to manage the Shopify website? Who's uploading inventory? Who has that kind of time? Small retailers.
And for small businesses, definitely don't. They're working so hard and they're so fast, and we're in a pandemic. So you're absolutely right.
No, and everyone's juggling family needs as well. Let's not forget, I know in the US people often like to separate family and business life, but I think it's really important, especially right now, that everyone's juggling both at the same time. And a lot of small business owners are managing their businesses from home while managing, really potentially serious family situations as well. So I think, really our goal is to really help and keep small businesses alive and communities alive. That's what drives both myself and Paolo, is keeping that sense of community, or not sense, the real community that keeps people employed and keeps our town centers destinations for visitors alive and around until after, well beyond this pandemic.
How was it for you? I mean, I know that, Italy was, the world's eyes were on Italy and how you guys went to lockdown. The numbers were really, really high. But you're also a foreigner, in essence. So how are you building your reputation, your expertise in the business world in Italy as a foreigner during a pandemic? That was a lot that I just gave you.
No. Well, I went to business school here at a university that's pretty well known in Milan. So that's very helpful in terms of building my network. And I already have a network. I also worked here from 2010 to 2014. So I have experience in Italy. And Italy and U.S. relations are also very good. We're kind of a strong. Italians love Americans. Americans love Italians. So, but I moved to a small city called Treviso, and I have to say, during the pandemic, I just started reaching out also because I have a other, you know, small consulting business on the side, working with local retailers. And I just reached out to people and said, listen, I would love to provide my services, you know, pro bono, you know, a few hours to help strategize how to get through this time and until we get to the other side. And people were lovely, and I've made some actually incredible friends and colleagues through this, you know, working through this period. So
that's one of the things that I loved hearing the most, where so many entrepreneurs, one, we know how to pivot, but just I have a skill and I can help you. And about the money for us, it's about the survival for us. We know what it takes to survive because it's in our DNA. But a lot of people, you're right, they don't know what to do, and they're kind of probably shocked. They're like, "What do you mean you want to do this pro bono? Like, what are you talking about?" And so, what was the reaction of a lot of individuals for that? Number one, and number two, what would you say to individuals that are hearing this? Like, wait, there's someone out there that's willing to help with their services, and I don't have to pay them during this time. Like, well, you know what? Take that back. I'm going to ask in regards of what did people think of it when you came to them, number one, but also, if someone wants to help, how should they go about it? That's what I wanted to get.
I've just, people reacted, okay, so a couple of people got back to me right away, but said, I'm unable to talk about anything right now. I need a few weeks, because they were just trying to wrap their heads around what was happening. So there was a lot of that. You know, some people I never heard from, and others said, okay, I really appreciate this email. I have some thoughts. And it took like 3-4 phone calls. You know, we didn't know each other. So to really hash it out, and for them to, you know, to see whether there was a connection, you know, feeling, and whether it made sense to work together. And then some people really took this opportunity to make a really big change to their business, and so that's where I came in, and I talk about this all the time with my husband. Just nothing bad will ever come out of just asking or picking up the phone or knocking on a door. Honestly, I've never had a bad experience. I mean, one of the best jobs I ever had in Senegal, working for Aïssa Dion, a textile designer. I just had picked up the phone and said, listen, I'm moving to Dakar. I love your work. I would love to meet you and talk to you. And it built, you know, that became this beautiful relationship that honestly opened up so many new experiences for me and taught me so much about grit and looking forward and optimism. So yeah, I cannot, I mean, I think that's also comes with, you know, maybe with age too. So a little bit, you know, I've had a lot of experiences at this point. I can definitely say that people love to connect. Everyone wants real connection. I think sometimes I for sure get in my own way. Sometimes when I, you know, unable to be my authentic self, maybe I'm afraid or I'm nervous or, but when I think what happened during this pandemic is we were all so raw that so many real connections were able to be born out of it. Sometimes when you're, you know, in day-to-day life, we're all you know, our calendars are booked. We're so busy running all over town, you know, have our like headphones in, just, and I loved the rawness that this brought out of everyone. You know, we just were who we were. We're Zoom calling with, you know, no makeup in our homes. You know, maybe there was a mess behind us, maybe not, but it brought out real humanity, I think.
I think that's one of the things that I love the most about this. And I know that people were complaining about like, oh, I'm zoomed out on this. I'm like, you know what? If you want to have human connection, you can. And I love, like, I mean, I saw dogs go in, I saw cats come in, kids. I mean, you can hear in the background where everyone's like, I apologize for my kids. I'm like, don't apologize, because they're playing, they're having fun, they're living. And this is what we're doing right now. So I love that aspect. If you were talking to someone that was, I'm home, I'm getting paid, I'm not really thrilled about the job that I have right now, I'm thinking this is the time to make a change. I can research it. What would you say to someone that is looking to start their own business?
I would say, you know, I would say start your own business while you still have your other job. You know, just you'll sleep a little less. But if it's something that you're passionate about, it won't feel like work. And if it's meant to be, then it won't feel like work, and the extra hours won't really take a toll, because when it's right, and when you're, you know, the only way a business is going to take flight is if it is a part of you, and if you are willing to go until you make it, without stopping. And so that's a good way to test it out, is starting while you still have your, you know, your job, your current position, and see where that goes. And I think you'll know the right time to kind of, you know, at the point where it starts to go and you need more time, then you can maybe take a break from it.
What are the highs and what are the lows of being an entrepreneur?
I would say like a high and a low are the same in terms of balance with family time. I think one of the problems when you're maybe an entrepreneur, or you're so passionate about what you do, it's hard you don't really see a need to kind of take a step back from it. And so I have a hard time, you know, on vacation, like I took vacation with my family, but I wanted to talk about my job all the time. My husband's like, no, you know, no work talk. And I'm like, but I love it. And I'm thinking about it, you know? And so I think that can be hard for maybe family members or partners or other people around you. I think, you know, you fail a lot, or you fail a lot before you succeed, probably. That's been my experience a lot, but it's also just, you can't not do it. It's like it's just a life. I just think it's just, you're born to do that, and it's a lifestyle, and it's I think just also how your mind works. It's a form of creativity, right? So like an artist can't not be an artist. I think it's similar.
You're so spot on that one. And you definitely just like entered the world of, during a pandemic, your family. How were you able to, I mean, like you walked into not owning a company, and now you own a company, you have your family, you have your kids, you have your husband. What did this pandemic do for your, like, you keep shaking your head.
No, I thought you were going to say, is there like a balance, or is there a trick to it? Because there's not.
No, how was it for you? I mean, for all of you, I mean, how was it being there? And especially, again, I mentioned it before, all eyes were on Italy at the beginning of this year, at the beginning when this is happening. And obviously all eyes are on the States right now. But how was it for you What did you learn from this entire time with your family being in your home 24/7?
I think, well, as someone who loves to travel, I think it taught me a lot being forced to stay home. And I really loved being forced to not travel on weekends, or being forced to stay home. I learned a lot about just what routine can give you. As someone who, I never have a routine of of course I have, my little routines, but it's not, I have to stay flexible. And so I think that taught me a lot. I really enjoyed that. I got a lot out of it for sure. And having my husband home, he was also on forced, vacation for a while. His company shut down. And we really became, I would say, partners more than we've ever been. Just like built a total equal partnership. Mm-hmm. And it, I would say, we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. And I think that, getting to that point after 10 years and, 7 years with children is really special. And it afforded me the time and space to be able to focus on my career, which I appreciate and I needed. So, yeah.
I have to say that I am extremely happy with so many of my friends that they were like, we married well. I'm hearing that more and more from so many of my friends from all over the world, where you don't ever get to spend this much time in the house with a person. I mean, like, you spend this much time with you, but to spend that much time with a person that you married it's rare. It's super rare. Like, and so to be able to walk away and saying that you've grown from this, and you got a company out of this. This is like amazing, which is so much. What would you say is happening with the industry that you're in? Like, what has the pandemic done for the industry? What do you think will evolve out of this for the industry that you're in?
Yeah, I think two things. One, our industry is definitely getting more crowded, which is almost good. I think, there were really just a few players, big players, just 6 months ago. So competition is good. And I think a lot of mentorship programs are coming out of this, which I love. And I know just personally a few people who are building really beautiful mentorship programs. And a lot of focus on, women entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs of color. And it's good. It's obviously things that should have been happening already, but I'm happy to see them. I've personally applied to several different programs, and I think that some people really want to give back. So I think a lot of good things are coming out of it. And I think for us as a company, one important thing that happened is that small retailers that were maybe nervous before to talk about technology are open. It's always, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I want to learn. Which is great. It's a great place to start. And that's our thing, is to work with people who probably don't have a lot of experience and don't have a lot of time to learn about it. And we're here to make it easy. And so for us, it's really hit home what our original mission was anyway. And it's made our target client more accessible. So
I think that's the fear of everything, I think, has lessened. Yes, the fear of the pandemic, but the fear of running your business and being effective and knowing who your target audience is and especially technology, has gotten a lot less because they were given no choice. Small businesses were given no choice. It's fight or flight, and a lot more chose to fight and know that I worked so hard to get to where I am. My father, my grandmother, I mean, this business has either been in our family for a long time or I created this, and I'm not willing to give it up. And I think that this was the perfect opportunity for a lot of us to pause and recreate and redesign, and a lot of us to reevaluate.
For sure. I mean, I think it's just, where are you meeting your client? I mean, how can you stay in touch with them in a meaningful way? And companies that were already doing that to a certain extent, the importance of what, meaningful. You can't, authentic relationship. How can I keep that going? How can I grow that? And how can I reach new clients? And continue to build my community authentically, but through technology. And now we have the tools to do it, and it's awesome. And we get to share local culture and local know-how with the rest of the world. And that's personally what drives me, and that's what I'm excited about. Yeah.
My last question to you, if you had a personal and a professional ask of everyone and anyone that's watching you right now, on this platform, what would be your personal ask and what would be your professional ask?
I guess my personal ask, I think I would just, always ask people to ask themselves how they're giving back. And giving back can be really simple. It can mean just giving back to one person, finding someone who needs, a helping hand in that moment. It could be giving back to a community. It could be supporting your local businesses instead of ordering online, ordering from your local businesses. And I guess a professional ask. That's a tough one. I love what's come out of this is the authenticity and the humanity that's come out of it. You see it on LinkedIn. You see personal and professional blending. I always had a really hard time with that in the United States, for example, where I always felt like professional and personal were very disconnected. And I find that to be so false, and so it's just falsely constructed, I guess, because it's unrealistic. And so I guess I would ask, my professional ask would be to keep that going and to find a way to incorporate that into your company culture, is to find a way to keep those personal, a way for us to respect and the fact that people's personal stories are going to affect and be a part of their professional stories, and that's a good thing. Find a way to honor that.
I couldn't have said that any better. I always, when I meet people, I don't ask them, tell me what you do. I always say, hi, tell me who you are. And they automatically go to school and work. And I'm like, I didn't ask that. I asked, tell me who you are. And then sometimes, a lot of times, especially in the States, I get well, that's a hard question. I'm like, not, because it's about you. It's not about me. I'm in a room full of people that went to an Ivy League school. I'm in a room full of people that work in the same company. So you tell me about your job and your degree don't really explain to me who you are. And I think that's one of the things that I think is the most genuine thing from the second that I met you. And I was like, I'm like, God, you're legit person. And you're so, I mean, especially from my high energy, like I jump around and like, I'm like, you are the most calming person that I know. You're like one of the most calming people I know. You're so global. You're so inspirational. We have a personal connection that we didn't know until we were talking. But I love that you see so much of the world and you bring it in one place. And I love that you continue to find more and more ways to stretch it out. Just, I mean, to like send an email, knock on someone's door. You are such a big heart. You're a walking heart that I enjoy talking. Whenever I see you, I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy seeing what you're doing. But you are one of the kindest people that I know that literally make the world that much better. And so I'm happy that you're in my world.
Thank you so much. It's of course such an incredible thing to hear, and it's too kind. But I have a hard time not being authentic, and I think that it's of course so reassuring when someone appreciates that.
I see you. I always tell people, like, I see you. I see things where if I was invited into your home on Monday and then on Friday I went back and I'm like, you changed this, you moved this. I'm like, what's that? I see things that most people don't see. As high energy and as fast talking as I am, I'm very aware of my surrounding. I'm very aware of the true, authentic people that are out there.
You pick up on all the nuances.
I do. It's my super crazy superpower. And people are like, oh my God. I'm like, you know what? I just appreciate people that are changing the world, that are doing good for the world, that are really making our lives better. And they don't need the accolades. They just don't need the accolades. I go, but I want to give you guys the accolades because you are finding ways to make it better. And I'm a big, big supporter of all small businesses. And for you to support small businesses, knowing that you're a small business is making me smile.
I know. Well, you do so much for the community. I mean, without people like you, we wouldn't know where to turn, and we just keep walking into walls.
Well, I'll be walking into walls with you, my friend.
Our elevator pitch would be 10 minutes long, more importantly.
Oh my God, Sarah, it was so nice to catch up with you. And I mean, one day I really hope that I am seeing you in Italy, not in the States, but in Italy. And we will enjoy our espresso. We will enjoy our walks and a lot more talks.
Me too, Jodi. Yeah.
Oh, take care of you. Take care of your family. And I can't wait to learn more about the business as it continues to grow.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep you posted.
Talk to you soon.
Bye, Jodi.